guys, welcome back to the channel. I apologize, it's been a little bit. Work's been pretty busy for me, and we actually just got back from vacation as well here for the last few days in Branson. So finally getting back to it. Tonight we got to work on oil change, and then also I'm going to drop my trans pan and put a new internal wiring harness and NSBU switch in as well. So got a little bit to do. We're also going to get the tires rotated as well. So truck is, just in case anybody's curious, is extremely old. I'm doing the 330,000 mile service here, so we'll get to it. One other thing you can see in the video there is my lift pump has now changed positions. So a couple weeks back I didn't do a video on it because it was an emergency and I had to get it done, and I was thrashing through the night to do it. My old AirDog 150 that I bought used in college went out and left me stranded on the side of the road, so that was amazing because the AirDogs, the original AirDogs are one of the only pumps that did not flow through. So when it shuts down, the injection pump no longer can pull through it, and so pretty well that just runs you out of fuel and you're done. So I bought a FASS. Andrew Carker at IOD, Flying Outlaw Diesel, hooked me up very, very quickly. Big shout out to him for that. And I basically worked until about 3:30 in the morning, started about midnight, and did it about 3.5 hours. Got the old one off, put the new one on, hooked it up to the sump, hooked up all the lines, back on the road. But anyway, that's about the only difference since the last video. But tonight's a bit of a service night, and hopefully a little bit of a look forward to what we've got coming in the future. So we'll get to it.
All right, so I imagine everybody knows how to do their own oil change, but just in case you don't, it's a 16 millimeter drain plug. Pop it off. I've actually already cracked mine. This oil is actually very, very hot, so I'm not going to do it in the video so I can make sure I'm paying attention. But drain that out. Oil filter is right up here beside it. I don't have a light on me right now, but I'll get one later. Pop that off as well. Let them both drain. Put them both. Put a new filter on. Put the plug back in. Refill it with 10 quarts, 2.5 gallons of 1540, and you're good to go. Just while we're waiting for it to drain out, I use Shell Rotella T4. You know, everybody swears by their own brand. Some people use Amsoil or whatever else. I don't know how much it truly matters as long as it's a decent quality oil. I've always used Shell Rotella in all 3 of my Duramaxes, and it's been fine. I don't know, that's about all I have to say about that, but I'm sure the question will get asked. So this is what I use. They actually have a 2.5 gallon jug, which is exactly how much you need for these trucks anyway, so it just kind of works out. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil change done, pour this in, and we'll move on to the trans. So this is one great thing about this truck. I always refill my container to make sure that I'm not burning or using or gaining any oil. There's no outside sight gauge, but this thing is completely full right where it's supposed to be at. 330,000 miles, it doesn't burn any oil, doesn't gain any oil, as far as fuel or anything else. It just keeps rocking on. So just a little side note there. Hats off to the LB7s. Okay, so the oil change is done. The underside of the truck is kind of wet because it's pouring down rain outside. But the next step here is to drop the trans pan. So it is a 15 millimeter bolt right here to get the drain plug out. And then there's 12, I believe 13 millimeters around the outside to actually drop the pan. So we're gonna go ahead and drain it first and then drop the pan, and then we'll be able to take a look at the valve body and the harness job that we're gonna take care of. Okay, so the trans is draining right now, so let's talk about what we're actually doing. This is a original Allison part, OEM part. This is the internal wiring harness. It comes to the outside of the trans, fits through this little O-ring there to seal it. This can hook into all of your solenoids and all that kind of stuff. So, and then as well as a new NSBU switch. This is what actually connects to the shifter in the transmission itself to tell you, tell it when you want to be in park, neutral, drive, reverse, whatever. So why am I doing this? So I have a built trans, it's got a G-Max 5 kit and a 1056 converter. But the converter does not lock up until it's 125 degrees or 123 degrees or something like that. And it's supposed to lock up, OEM lockup is at 87 degrees. And talking to Suncoast and other places, it should also lock up at that same temperature, even with the big triple disc in there. So when it doesn't do it, when it's under 125 degrees and it locks, it throws a code at me. It tells me that the torque converter solenoid is basically short circuiting, or it's an open circuit. And so I've already replaced the solenoid itself, and it didn't seem to fix it. So I'm wondering if there's actually something wrong with the harness itself, that basically there's too much resistance in it until it heats up, or something like that. And it was a cheap fix. I think this is like a $70 part or something like that. And if it improves the drivability, it's worth doing. So that's why we're doing this. And at the same time, and while I've got it dropped and everything, I'm just going to replace the NSBU switch at the same time. They're known for going out over time. And I'm pretty sure mine has never been switched out, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and get this drained out the rest of the way. It's almost done there now, and we'll go ahead and pull the pan off, and we'll take a look up at how everything's mounted inside there. All right, y'all, so this is it. So this is the harness I'm replacing. It's this whole black piece with it, and it connects to all of the solenoids here and to the pressure plate up there, right in, where am I at? Right there. And then as you can see where it goes outside of the truck there, to right there. So basically I have to unplug that, pull it through, and then just pop it off of each one of its clips there, and we should be good to go. And then the NSBU switch is right here on the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap that out as well. So we'll go ahead and get to it. We'll get this one taken off and pop the new one on, and keep rolling. So the new harness is in. It was relatively painless. Those OEM parts, it all fits up. The only hard part was getting the O-ring seal to push in there, and there's two little clips. There it is, you can kind of see it, that hold the two of the solenoids in, but it also holds in the bracket here for the harness. So pop those out, put the new one in, not too bad. Okay, so the last step here is going to be to do this NSBU switch. It shouldn't be too bad either. There's 2 harnesses right there to undo this bolt right here. That's actually what goes inside the truck that turns that linkage that puts the truck into gear. And then as well as this linkage piece right here needs to be popped off and popped onto the new one. But other than that, it should be relatively painless as well. So I'll go ahead and get this one off and pop the new one on. All right, guys. So I apologize. I completely forgot to take a video while the trans was still. The pan was still dropped, but this is the new NSBU switch in here. So just to recap on it, it's pretty easy. You take out those 2 electrical connectors right there, and then there's one bolt there on the outside to hold it on, and there's another one kind of right underneath the this clip there, if you can kind of see inside there. Those are 12 mils, I believe. And then the only other thing to take off then is that bolt right there that actually connects to the linkage that's inside the transmission. One thing that I forgot to mention is if you're doing this, make sure that you put the truck in neutral to begin with so that everything lines up. When this NSBU switch comes, there's a little steel lock that is holding it in neutral position, so that way it lines up perfectly when you put it back in. That way just make sure that that way you don't have to worry about it being in the wrong position or anything like that. So very important, make sure the truck is in neutral before you take it all apart. Yeah, other than that, it's a pretty simple install, really. I've actually already driven the truck, made sure everything was good, refilled it, got it hot, and then checked the fluid again. Everything seems to be in good order. So the big question is, did it fix my issue with my torque converter? No, it did not. Not with the NSBU, but with the electrical harness, it did not. So basically I'm narrowing down here. I've tried replacing the solenoid, and I have also at this point now done the harness, but we're still having the issue. So the only last thing that it could be is the TCM itself. So I'll keep kind of toying with it and see if we can get it to go. It still works obviously just fine. It locks up at 125 degrees instead of 89, but it's not a huge deal. It's just more of an annoyance than anything else. Yeah, so I've run out of time for tonight, so I'm gonna have to rotate the tires another night. But that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll keep going. So just a little tidbit for anybody who's still watching. Just kind of see something new that's in here. Give you a little bit of a clue of what's to come. If you know what those are, you know what I mean. So we will maybe be having a little bit of fun here in a few weeks. We got a couple pulls coming up, and we will we'll see what we can do, see what these goofy Toyo proxies can do on dirt. So thanks for watching, guys, and keep tuned for more to come.